But then I truly believe, like I said in the letter, that the way that the president was influenced by the media, but then also by Israeli government officials, and the way that that decision-making was took place in a compartmentalized environment, compartmentalized in the sense that the president didn't have much in terms of people giving him alternative viewpoints, that our country was in a bad spot. And the most effective thing that I could do was resign publicly.
Joe Kent just set the entire national security apparatus on fire. He didn't just resign. He accused the entire establishment of baiting and switching the American people into an endless war for foreign interests. As a veteran, I've seen this movie before in Iraq and Afghanistan. But hey, I was just an enlisted soldier. But Joe Kent, a decorated hero, is giving us a view from inside the Trump administration. This is the most dangerous moment for our country since 2003. Let's get into the tactical truth they're not telling you.
The Israelis do over the course of the last year was use their government officials engaging with our government officials, but then also their surrogates in the media, Mark Levin, who I'll talk to tonight, mainstream media, think tanks, Foundation for Defense of Democracies, a lot of talking heads on Fox News, to move the red line. So Trump had said, my red line is no nuclear weapons. The Ayatollah said, great, I don't want nuclear weapons either. Let's talk. So they moved the red line by saying enrichment. Iran can have no enrichment. Enrichment equals a nuclear weapon, which is just fundamentally not true. So that would be parroted from officials in the Israeli government and then also on the news.
I mean, let's backtrack.
Yeah.
I don't think not one of our 18 intelligence agencies had mentioned that Iran was enriching uranium, correct?
They were doing enrichment to some degree. So there was enrichment.
For no nuclear weapons.
But no nuclear weapons.
No
and
nuclear
we
weapons.
knew, all 18 intelligence agencies agreed that the fatwa against actually making a nuclear weapon was holding, and the Iranians were not making a nuclear weapon. So that Tulsi Gabbard testified to that last year. She just testified to it again this year, that the Iranians, under the previous supreme leader who was just killed, now the Iranians more than likely are going to change their strategic outlook. That's my guess. My guess is like, hey, a lot of their hardliners are now saying, hey, do you see what this moderation got us? And now they're going to attempt to buy one or spread. That's just my guess. But for the last year, prior to this last conflict kicking off, we did not assess that they were trying to make a nuclear weapon. So that's why they had to move the red line and say enrichment. And so finally, through official engagements and the media continuing to echo this, they basically got the U.S. talking point to change, that Iran could not have any kind of nuclear enrichment. And that was a non-starter for the Iranians. And that's how we basically got into the 12-day war, Operation Midnight Hammer. Again, 12-day war launched by the Israelis. We said, hey, we're going to come in, we're going to do a series of limited strikes to take away any nuclear capability that Iran may have, and then we're done. Now, at the time, we had seen, myself and others had seen how aggressive the Israelis were about wanting regime change.
Now, did you catch that? All 18 intelligence agencies agreed Iran wasn't making a bomb. But the war hawks out there in Washington moved the goalposts. In the military, we call, again, I've said this in a video before, mission creep. They changed the definition of the threat so they could justify the strikes. This is exactly how we got stuck in Iraq for 20 years, looking for weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist. And they are doing it again.
Do you think they would institute a draft if they had to for this war?
If they do that, then the war is going to fail really quickly, because I just don't think the American people are willing to saddle up their sons and daughters for the draft. If they could get away with it, I think they'd be tempted to do it, because it'd be like all options on the table, right? Like if they say, like, if we get so far sucked into this thing, kind of like we did in the Iraq War, where it's like we can only win by applying a massive amount of ground troops. Iran is so big, we can't do it with the standing military that we have right now, as big as it is. We would have to do a draft. I think a negative to a downside to the all-volunteer force we've had is that it's been very easy to deploy us, and most Americans don't really know or care that we've been deployed because we volunteered for it. We have professional soldiers. I think a draft is actually a good check on that. I think compulsory service. I think if there was more people right now who they had to go do 2 years in the military and they were like, oh crap, my 2 years are going to involve this Iran deployment, I think a lot more people in America, and that was felt by the entire American population, that every able-bodied man and woman was eligible for a 2-year period to go serve. Wars like this wouldn't happen, in my opinion.
That is a very interesting point of view that I have not thought about.
Now, this is the most terrifying part of it all. I mean, Iraq is a big country, and we struggle there. We were there for 20 years. In Afghanistan, and those are big countries, but they are not as big as Iran. And that is the part that they don't want you to hear. Iran is a massive country full of 90 million people. You can't take it with a few thousand Marines. If the neocons get their way, we are talking about a national draft. I don't want to be over dramatic here. I mean, the thought of a draft is really not even, nobody can comprehend that. But if you were asked a question, are you ready to send your sons and daughters out there to fight and die for foreign agendas? Are you ready to do that? For what? To secure an oil island in the Persian Gulf? Because that might be what comes next. Now let's put the war to a side for just a second and get into a little bit more of the conspiratorial side of things from this interview.
Like, look, people are saying, like, why are you speaking cryptically? I can't speculate. I can only tell you what I know. And the only thing I know for sure is that our due diligence was not done on looking at the foreign links. The rest of the case could be rock solid. If they've got Tyler Robinson,
there are foreign links.
There's foreign connections we need to look into.
What are those connections?
That I can't get into because that's all tied up inside of classified channels essentially. But there was more work we needed to do. And now I'm not saying, like, you know how an investigation works. You chase down 99 leads and 100 leads and 99 of them are BS and you get one good one. So even the things that I know of that I don't want to speculate about, half of them could be 75%, 90% of them could be trash leads, but there's stuff that we need to look down. Charlie was a very influential figure. He traveled the world. He traveled the nation. There was a lot of people from all over the place looking and watching Charlie Kirk speak there. There was people speculating about what was going to happen to Charlie Kirk online ahead of time. So there's more work that we needed to do in regards to foreign linkage to the Kirk assassination.
Well, there you go. I mean, he is confirming what some people suspected. We don't know if it's true or what isn't, but that the investigation, I don't have any proof to say that he's lying. He was there working, doing that job. So who are we to say he's lying? He's not. He's making something up. And to be fair, he hasn't said anything inflammatory. All he has said is that there were clues and that information that they could have dug into that they didn't let him dig into. And that is just that. Big question is, why didn't they just let him and his team keep digging into this situation? Charlie was the loudest voice against this war, to be fair. Now he's gone, unfortunately, and it is sad to see how things have turned out, especially for his poor wife at this moment in time. Joe Kent is out and the war is on. You tell me if that's a coincidence, but it's certainly time to wake up. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I want to know your opinion on this particular case right now. It is very trendy. It is happening. News are breaking every single day, and we need to be informed, and we need to make a rational decision when it comes to our opinions. And of course, as the United States of America, the greatest country on earth, we need to look for the best interest of this country and its people here in this country.